Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Nate with FreeUp. Welcome back to Outsourcing and Scaling. I'm here with a friend of mine, entrepreneur, and agency owner, James. James, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
Doing great. James and I are in this entrepreneurial meetup group. We met probably, 6+ months ago, but we meet every month. We go through goals of the month. We meet up the next month, see what we accomplished, see what we want to work on. And it's a lot of fun. And I always like connecting with people in the marketing space, in the agency space, because I come from e-commerce and agency. Although we help a lot of agency owners with FreeUp, it's definitely something I'm not familiar with. So I'd love to hear your story, how you got set up growing an agency, and then we'll kind of dive into what running an agency is all about. And I know you have some special training for us as well.
Yeah, for sure. So back in 2011, I got into website development. I used the classic lynda.com to learn how to mess with some of the CMSs out there like WordPress and Drupal. When I started doing the websites, I realized that there was only half of the steps that companies need to make to actually make money was doing a website. So, I built a website for them and that was done. That was the end of our relationship. They'd walk away and I'd have to go out and find another person. In addition to that, I couldn't charge a lot because, what's the value in a website if you don't have traffic and actual people visiting there and, actually becoming a customer or prospect. That epiphany took me almost 8 years to realize. But once I found out that, hey, there's a lot of value to actually bringing customers in, instead of just having a nice little sign, you need to be able to promote that sign so people can, know who you are. So I decided to transition into doing marketing, and my main focus is Facebook and Instagram marketing. There's a lot of people that say, Facebook is dead. Instagram's the place to be, or, YouTube is where we need to go. There are now 2 billion people on Facebook. And the great thing about advertising on Facebook is, you really only pay whenever somebody sees an ad. So even if there was 100 people left on Facebook, you only pay for what people see. That's been my focus. Really getting into solving my clients' problems. If they want to scale or if they're about to go out of business, you got to have customers to be able to survive as a business. So I'm just really glad to be in the industry that I'm in. I'm able to help and scale companies that they couldn't do it before.
Well, let's talk about niche, because I've had other agency owners on it and they talk about the importance of, hey, I'm going to go after restaurants. I'm going to go after real estate agents. Do you believe in that, or are you just going after anyone that needs marketing?
Yeah, so I do believe in niching. And there's 2 different areas in which you can niche. There's one where you can niche into a certain platform. For me, I do advertising, so I niche in Facebook and Instagram. And the reason I do that is every single week on Facebook, they have these bulletins for all the things that they've changed inside of Facebook advertising every single week. And to be able to keep up with that stuff, there's no chance you could have 3 or 4 platforms that you're up to date on. Right. So there's always going to be some cracks that some things that just fall through. So in the service that you provide, niching in that is important. But going a step further, niching into certain industries is just as important. I have 3 industries that I go after. One of them is solar. And inside of solar, there are so many nuances of what your offer should be. There's a lot of political things going on when it comes to that. There's a lot of sales process that you need to make sure that you take care of. There's just so much to know about an industry. If you don't niche, you'll just be this generic person that can't really provide much value. So if you're trying to grow your agency, the best advice I would give is niche down in both the services that you're offering and the industry. And here's why. Because you can charge 5 to 10 times more than anybody else who's generic. And because you actually have results, you have case studies, you can say, look, this other solar company, this other plastic surgeon that's my client, I brought 10 times the revenue that they had before. So if you have something generic and you're talking to a dentist and you say, yeah, I sold books on Amazon, that doesn't mean much to them. So niching down is very important. You have an expertise and you can charge a lot more for it.
So let's jump away from Facebook for a second and we'll get back to it. I know you got some training. Let's talk about that first year of growing an agency from 0 to year 1. What's it like? What should people be prepared for? What are some common things that you had to overcome?
Oh man, there's a lot of things. Yeah. So when you're first starting out your business, the majority of companies out there, their biggest problem is getting customers in the door. And their second problem is being able to deliver for those clients. So what I like doing is I like actually having experts around me to help me in case I'm not able to deliver, so I can deliver. When I first started, man, my first year was very rough. I went to networking groups, which are great, but I really had to pander to everybody and throw cards at everybody. I'll be honest, for 3 or 4 years, I really scraped by. I mean, I honestly, for a while, I couldn't afford to eat. I couldn't afford to drive anywhere. I couldn't afford to do a lot of things. And the biggest thing I would say is find your customers and find them as consistently as possible. That really, really, sales cures all, as Mark Cuban says, is very true.
Yeah, I love it. Any sales tips for someone? Let's say that they are getting in front of their target audience and they're struggling to actually close them. Any tips there?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will go right into our training, actually. We can segue into that after this, but a great sales tip is a lot of people, when they're starting out, they're thinking about themselves. They're worried about, okay, I need to pay some bills. So that's the mindset they have going into a sales, if it's a sales call or if you're meeting with somebody, your mindset is, okay, I got to close this guy. I got to get this money. I got to be able to feed myself next week. But the problem is that's not what the other person's thinking. They're not thinking about how you need to eat. They're thinking about how they need to eat and how they need to get and grow their business. Right. So the number one sales tip I would say is just stop. Write on a piece of paper the top 3 problems that you're planning on solving for this company. And it sounds so cheesy, and I used to hear that advice all the time, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Seriously, write down the 3 things that you're going to solve for them and bring those 3 things up. Now, how do you find out what problems you're solving for them? You ask them. And when you ask them, they'll tell you. They say, so, if you're having a conversation with somebody, there's a reason, Mr. Prospect, that we're talking. Can you tell me why we're talking? And they'll give you some good reasons. And you use that and say, look, it sounds like you have X, Y, Z problem. So I've been doing this for X amount of time, so I can solve this problem for you. So if you're interested in getting this solved, then, here are my services, here's my offer. So don't forget that the other person is there selfishly for them. So always put your mindset in their shoes. Just think about them and what it is that they really want. And that's just how you win.
I love it. That's great sales advice. I always love getting in the mind of sales because, like you said, sales cures all. It doesn't even matter if you're running an agency, if you're a real estate agent, if you're in business, and no matter how good your product or your service is, if you can't sell it, nothing else matters. And that's why in that first and second year, that figuring out that sales process and what works for your client base is so important. Let's dive into the training. Teach us what we need to know about Facebook ads.
Cool. Yeah. So there's a couple things that you need to look out for whenever you're writing ads. Now, ads, I've heard many people say ads are just sales in written form. So it's the same, solving your problem and giving them a solution. So there's 4 steps that I talk about to create a great ad in Facebook. So the first one is ask yourself, who am I talking to? So this goes back into the niching of who you're going after, the industry. So if you are going after, let's say, a dentist, you need to write down, okay, this is the dentist that I'm looking for, someone in this area. They have this size office, and go very specific. So once you have an idea of what your audience is, then you can start to think up, okay, so what are the problems that they usually deal with? Okay, maybe they're not getting enough appointments. They're not filling their calendar, or the business owner maybe wants to step out of their ownership role and let somebody else run it while they're off doing something else. So whatever level of customer you're looking for, write it down so you have a great idea of what you're looking to solve. So number two is, what is the problem that you're solving for them? So once you hone that down, figure out those 3 or 4 points that you want to talk about that they're dealing with right now. And then number 3, what is the theme to start the ad? So I wrote these themes that really help jumpstart all of my ads. I do this for pretty much every one of my clients. And it's basically just an idea of where to start. A lot of people have struggle with, okay, I get the idea, I get the concept, I need to tell people that, there's this problem that I can solve. Where do I start? What's the first line say? So I wrote these themes table to help explain, okay, well, start with one of these. So just as a couple ideas, one of them is telling a story. For me, when I did a lot of solar clients, when I was advertising to them, there's how a Central Florida resident went solar and saved $100,000. Nice. So that's telling a story. That's starting with, hey, there's this cool situation that happened, and this could be your situation as well. So things like that, starting with a theme really helps get you jump started. I'm going to give one more piece of advice that's kind of outside of all that. And that is when you write down your 3 problems that you're solving, put that directly at the top of your ad. So if somebody wants to increase their business, get very specific and say, how would you like to grow your business by $100,000 in the next 30 days? That is so much more impactful than saying, hey, grow your business. I'll help you grow your business. The more specific you can get, the better. So that's just another little bonus.
Nice. I love it. Sorry, what else you got?
There was one last one, and that's the imagery, using imagery and video. So having something that's interesting, if you're going to advertise on Facebook, or rather any platform for that matter, you need to have something that doesn't look like a stock photo or stock video. We all know what that looks like. It's overexposed. You've got the people shaking their hands, doing little funny little situations when in the office they're looking at a computer or something. Use a photo of yourself. Take a picture of something that you would do. Like if you have an Instagram and you're posting stuff on Instagram, take one of those photos because it feels organic and it feels real. People want to connect with you. They don't want to connect with a generic brand.
Awesome. I love it. What are some mistakes that you see people make?
Yeah. So thinking that on the other side, thinking that a crazy, wacky picture of somebody's making a weird face. I saw an ad the other day. This kid had he had a pink hat on, he had this really weird flares thing going on. He was making a weird face. Don't mistake getting attention for getting people who are interested in it and becoming a prospect. So just because your picture looks great, people might stop for a second. If
Right.
what you say doesn't solve that person's problem, it's meaningless. So don't have just pretty pictures just for pretty pictures. That's just the hook to give people 1 second to stop and read what you have. So don't forget that.
Awesome, James. I love bringing people on that are actually doing this, actually running an agency, running Facebook ads. It's great. So I really appreciate you coming on. If people want to learn more, people are looking to understand Facebook ads better, get a copy. I know you have a more in-depth PowerPoint of this. How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So my website is brightideamarketing.com. And you can find me on social media. James Smith, probably better to find me through the Facebook profile, business profile, Bright Idea Marketing. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to message me over Facebook. I love helping out with this stuff. I see stuff every day. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.